Imagine waking up one morning with a disquieting realization that the life you've been living may not truly be yours, that the choices you've made, the beliefs you defend, and even your most persistent desires might not stem from your innermost being, but instead from layers of conditioning, social expectations, and subtle influences absorbed over the years. Pause and reflect on this. How much of your identity is genuinely your own? And how much of it has been carefully assembled to meet the demands of the world around you? How often do you sense that you're merely playing a part, reciting lines from a script crafted by others, be it your upbringing, society's demands, or the silent fears you carry deep within? Today, we're diving into one of Carl Jung's most profound and transformational ideas, that life, real life, doesn't truly begin until you embark on the path of self-discovery. But what does it really mean to find yourself? Is it simply about becoming self-aware, or is it the beginning of a deeper, more radical inner transformation? Stick with me, because as we peel back the layers that have shaped your identity, you'll come to understand why most people never experience this awakening, and how you can be among the few who break free. By the end of this journey, a final realization awaits, one that could revolutionize not only how you perceive yourself, but how you interact with the world around you. Carl Gustav Jung was not just a psychologist. He was a pioneer of the human psyche, one who journeyed far beyond conventional psychological theories to explore the unconscious mind's vast and hidden landscapes. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Jung did not believe mental health was simply a matter of adapting to societal standards. He viewed psychological growth as a sacred quest, a lifelong journey of individuation, the process of becoming whole, authentic, and truly yourself. But here's the sobering truth. Most people never embark on that journey. They stay stuck in versions of themselves shaped by others. They live lives engineered by expectation, seeking approval, avoiding disapproval, never stopping to question whether this life truly aligns with their soul's deeper calling. Instead of tuning inward, they chase validation from achievements, status, relationships, or belonging. Yet deep beneath the surface, there's an ache, a quiet, persistent sense that something essential is missing. Jung believed the beginning of real life happens the moment we stop hiding from ourselves. But before we can explore what it means to find ourselves, we have to understand what stands in our way. From our very first breath, we're being shaped, molded by forces beyond our awareness. We're given names, roles, identities. We're taught what earns approval and what invites punishment. This shaping process is so gradual, so embedded into our earliest experiences that we rarely question it. We simply adapt. We conform. And in doing so, we slowly start to abandon the parts of ourselves that don't seem to fit. Think back to your childhood. Were there moments when you expressed something genuine, only to be told to stop? Maybe you were told to be realistic, toughen up, or that certain feelings were inappropriate. Over time, you learned to repress those pieces of yourself, to lock them away. And thus, a mask began to form, what Jung famously called the persona. The persona is the image we present to the world. It helps us navigate relationships, function socially, and gain approval. But here's where the danger lies. The more closely we identify with that mask, the further we drift from our true nature. Eventually, we begin to believe we are the mask, forgetting that there is a deeper self hidden underneath. On the flip side of the persona lies what Jung called the shadow, the parts of ourselves we've rejected, suppressed, or disowned. Our fears, forbidden desires, buried emotions, and surprisingly, our unrealized strengths. These don't just vanish. They don't fade simply because we ignore them. Instead, they operate silently beneath the surface, influencing our thoughts, choices, and emotional reactions. Have you ever had an intense dislike for someone and couldn't explain why? Or felt emotionally triggered by certain behaviors in others? Jung believed that what disturbs us in others is often a reflection of something within us, a disowned aspect of our own psyche, projected outward. But here's the paradox. Within that shadow lies the very key to true self-discovery. The aspects you've hidden from yourself aren't your enemies. They are essential fragments of your wholeness. Jung's genius was recognizing that personal growth doesn't come from eliminating the shadow, but from integrating it, from turning inward and facing what we've long denied. Because once you do, you gain access to immense power, clarity, and authenticity. This is where the real work begins. Are you willing to look honestly at who you are? To peel back the illusions you've unknowingly accepted? Because what's coming next may challenge your deepest assumptions, but it also offers a gateway to a life that's truly yours. Most people believe they already know who they are. They define themselves by their job title, cultural background, achievements, or personal history. But what if I told you that your identity, as you currently know it, is merely a surface-level construct? Jung believed that beneath the visible self lies an inner world, rich, layered, and largely unexplored. This realm is filled with forgotten memories, unprocessed emotions, unspoken desires, and reservoirs of untapped potential. And the path to finding yourself isn't about creating a new identity. It's about uncovering what has always been there, waiting beneath the noise. Take a moment to reflect. Have you ever felt a deep, almost unexplainable pull, a longing for something more? A quiet voice that whispers, "You were meant for something greater"? That's not fantasy. That's your unconscious calling. That's your psyche reaching for individuation, for wholeness. But here's the catch. Individuation is uncomfortable. It's messy. It demands that you face truths you've long avoided about yourself, your patterns, your fears. Why do we avoid silence? Why do we drown ourselves in distractions, scrolling, working, performing? Anything to avoid stillness. Because in stillness, the unconscious begins to speak. And what it reveals often feels too raw to face. Yet those unacknowledged parts don't disappear. They emerge as anxiety, self-sabotage, conflict, or a nagging sense of being lost. Jung believed the unconscious constantly tries to get our attention. The question is, are we listening? Let's look at a simple example. Fear of rejection. Many people shape their lives to avoid judgment. They stay quiet, seek approval, suppress authenticity. But this fear isn't just about others. It's rooted in old wounds, times we felt unloved, unseen, or inadequate. Jung would say this fear is part of your shadow, and unless you bring it into awareness, it will silently dictate your actions. But once you do confront it, it loses its grip. Imagine the freedom of living without fear of judgment, of speaking your truth with conviction, and making choices that align with your deepest values. That's individuation, not becoming someone new, but uncovering more of who you truly are. So how do we begin? Jung believed the unconscious speaks through symbols, dreams, art, and intuition. Our dreams in particular offer profound insight, like letters from the deeper self. Likewise, creativity, journaling, and introspection help us access these buried truths. But perhaps the most powerful tool is this: awareness. The simple act of pausing to question your thoughts, beliefs, and emotional reactions initiates transformation. When you stop fleeing discomfort and start leaning into it with curiosity, you reclaim your power. Because here's the hard truth. Most people live and die as strangers to themselves. But you don't have to. You can release the illusion. You can shed the layers of false identity and step into the fullness of your being, unfiltered, unapologetic, and awake. And now we go even deeper, to the inner forces that live within you. Ancient patterns buried deep in the psyche. Jung called them archetypes, and they hold the blueprint to your inner evolution. These archetypes, like the hero, the sage, the shadow, the lover, are not just mythological characters. They're psychological energies that exist inside all of us, inherited from our ancestors through the collective unconscious. Take the hero archetype. This is the part of you that longs to rise, to overcome, to grow. But this hero must always confront the shadow, the inner dragon, so to speak. Have you ever known you needed to change but felt paralyzed by fear or resistance? That's the hero and shadow battling within you. Jung taught that transformation isn't about defeating the shadow, it's about integrating it. Asking, where does this fear come from? What truth does it hide? Could it actually be a teacher in disguise? And beyond the hero and shadow are other forces, like the anima and animus. Jung believed that within every man exists a hidden feminine energy, the anima, and within every woman a hidden masculine energy, the animus. Not gender in a physical sense, but psychological balance. The anima brings intuition, sensitivity, and emotion. The animus brings logic, structure, and drive. When these energies are in harmony, we feel whole. When they're denied, we feel fragmented. A man who represses his anima may fear vulnerability. A woman who denies her animus may hesitate to assert herself. But when both are embraced, we unlock a deeper wisdom and strength. Which brings us to the most important truth of all. To find yourself, you must embrace all of yourself. Light and shadow, masculine and feminine, the known and the mysterious. Individuation is not about changing who you are. It's about remembering who you've always been. But there is one final illusion to dismantle, perhaps the most powerful of all. It's the illusion of a fixed self. Most people believe they are a single, consistent identity, shaped by memory and held together by time. But Jung, along with mystics, sages, and philosophers, saw something far more radical. The self is not fixed. It is fluid, expansive, and infinite. What if the person you think you are is just one expression of a far greater whole? A consciousness evolving across time, carrying the wisdom of generations. Jung called this deeper reality the self, not the ego-driven, label-wearing self, but the totality of your being. This realization is liberating, but it's also disorienting, because it means everything you believe about yourself is just a construct, a story created by the mind. But once you see this, you are free. You are not just a role, not just a job title, not even your thoughts or emotions. You are awareness itself, vast, interconnected, limitless. So how do you step into this? Jung's path requires courage, curiosity, and surrender. Embrace the unknown. Let go of rigid labels. Pay attention to your dreams, your instincts, your synchronicities, and most of all, trust the unfolding. Because here's the ultimate truth. You were never truly lost. The self you've been seeking has always been within you. Now the question is, will you keep living as a fragment, or will you rise into the wholeness of who you were meant to become? Because life does not begin at birth, it begins when you find yourself. And now you know how. If this message stirred something within you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Someone else might be walking the same silent path, waiting for a sign that they're not alone. Stay grounded, stay thoughtful, stay awake. For more deep dives into philosophy, the human experience, and timeless truths, subscribe and turn on the bell. Wander the void with wonder, question deeply, think freely. Until next time, embrace the silence and let it speak.